What's happening, everybody? This is Mike at Mike's Total Dragon Channel, and today I wanted to talk about a question that I see brought up frequently. Um, Question being, how do I get into comics? Not how do I get into comics to like work and make a living, but how do I start reading comics? A lot of people are very confused and they feel very hesitant about getting involved in comics. They think that they need to know everything from, you know, issue one, volume one until now. I see a lot of people say, well, how will I know what's going on? You know, and there really isn't any way that you're not going to know everything when you first get into reading comic books. If you pick up X-Men, you're not going to understand everything that has been happening with the first, with the issue that you pick up to read. A lot of it is learning on the way. You know, the majority of us, there's nobody out there who is like, oh, I've been reading X-Men since X-Men 1 with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, since that issue launched. All of us that are into comics, we jumped in at some point in the middle of something, and we might have felt pretty overwhelmed about what was going on, but we knew that we liked what we saw. And even though we didn't understand all of it, it was enough that we had that taste of it. We wanted to keep coming back for more. Um, that's the thing about comic books is you are not going to understand everything from day one. A lot of the stuff you will pick up through other issues that you read. You'll pick up through conversation between the characters in the pages of the book. Um, you'll pick up stuff from other people that that you meet who are reading comics, other comic book readers. Um, Nowadays, you have the internet, you've got reading guides, Wikipedia, YouTube videos, everything that can answer any of the questions you have is now available for you to look up and understand what's going on. But even with all those tools available to you, still at some point you've got to, you've got to pull the band aid off. You've got to pull the band aid off and just go ahead and go. Just there's only one way to get into comics, and ultimately it's to get into comics, is to buy comics and to read comics, you know, and it will feel overwhelming initially, but you just stick with it. No one says, uh, like if you're watching a baseball game or football game, no one says, what do I need to know? What essential games do I need to watch to understand what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles? Catch me up on that. What's the pass? What's a good starting point for the New York Yankees? Or the Cubs or something. You just pick it up. You just cut the game on. You watch what's going on. You listen to the announcers and the commentators. They talk about stuff that happened in previous seasons, previous players who are no longer on the team, who've come and went, or who might have been dead for 70 years or what have you. You just figure it out as you go. And for some strange reason, people feel like they want to come into comic books and they want to know everything from day one. They'll mention, and this is a thing that I've really discovered recently by reading old comic books and picking stuff up that's um, older stuff. You would be surprised at how much stuff is never mentioned again in comic books. There will be so many books that I pick up out of the dollar box where they'll have storylines or events that are just not talked about anymore. And I think a lot of people feel like they need to know about those storylines and about those events, to understand what's going on. When in reality, if you just know even a remotely just a little bit about them, you'll be good to go, because for the most part, they're not going to be mentioned again. I mean, you look at X-Men. Let's take the X-Men forever, or let's take the X-Men for example. I should say, not X-Men Forever. That's a different series. But let's just take the X-Men for example. If you're reading it right now, there is never any reference to things like Executioner Saga, the Phalanx Agenda, I don't even, the character X-Man, Age of Apocalypse stuff. You might see Age of Apocalypse reference, only because you'll see Dark Beast. Asgardian Wars, you won't see any of that stuff. Mutant Massacre, you'll only see the big points of that, like the Morlocks being massacred. But even still, that's just mentioned in passing. So don't feel like you have to know every single thing about what's going on to get into comic books. The only thing you really need to know is, I wouldn't even say you need to know anything. I would say you just need to be prepared to just enjoy it and just pick something up with the mindset of, okay, there's going to be some stuff that's mentioned here that I'm not familiar with, but I'll figure it out as I go. That's the way I tell people they should approach it. I think the best way I've heard it put is, picking up comics, you don't need to know everything. Just like when you meet a new friend, you don't know everything about that person. When you meet someone new, you don't say, "Hey, catch me up on the previous 47 years of your life." You meet them, you have a conversation, you talk, and then as time goes on, you pick up more and more about them and their life and the things they've been through. And comic books are very much the same way. So, if you want to get into comics, just go ahead and get on in. That's really the best thing I can tell you. There's no better time. There's no more. You don't have. There's never been a time when we have more access to comic book knowledge than what we have right now. As far as Wikipedia, reading orders, and everything. But that would just be my big piece of advice: is stop worrying about it and just go ahead and jump on in. You pick it up, and if it's something that you don't pick up or you're not interested in, then just forget about that title and move on to something else. That's really the big thing that I can tell you, is just find something you're into and dig in and just enjoy the ride. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.